Armalite Rifle 10. Late 1956, two hand-built rifles entered Springfield Armory under the United States Army Lightweight Rifle Program, and the evaluation culture was ruthless because it rewarded predictable durability and punished experimental risk. The historical trigger lands across the 1956 to 1957 ordnance trials. A major barrel failure wrecked confidence in readiness, and the program's momentum collapsed inside the decision room. Eugene Stoner had joined Armalite in 1954, bringing aircraft logic into infantry steel. Weight was treated like an enemy, so 7075-T6 aluminum and phenolic furniture showed up where older rifles carried wood and thick forgings. The layout is straight line by design. Bore, receiver, and stock sit on one axis, so recoil drives rearward into the shoulder line instead of levering the muzzle upward, and the elevated sightline makes the carry handle silhouette feel inevitable. The operating bet is direct gas, sending propellant gas through a thin tube to unlock and cycle the bolt without a heavy piston up front. Less moving mass means less disturbance, and that is part of why the rifle feels unusually modern for 1956. On paper, the Armalite Rifle 10 is easy to pin down. 7.62 by 51 North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a 528mm barrel, 1,050mm overall length, a 20-round detachable box magazine, and total original production of around 9,900 rifles. It never becomes a United States standard story, yet it still gets carried for real. Portugal and Sudan buy it, and Portuguese forces take it into the Portuguese colonial war. Why it works is recoil geometry plus disciplined moving mass. Why it matters is genetic. The United States contract is missed, yet the architecture becomes the seed crystal for the entire Armalite rifle family tree. Colt Model 601. December 1959 is where the Armalite Rifle 15 stops, being an Armalite lab child, and becomes a Colt product with serial numbers and consequences. The historical trigger happens on July 4, 1960, when General Curtis LeMay test fires a Model 601 at a barbecue, watches high-velocity .223 tier targets apart, and pushes the United States Air Force to place an 8,500 rifle order that keeps the whole project alive. This early rifle wears its first-run personality on the outside: green-coated furniture over brown phenolic, a slab-side lower without a raised magazine release fence, and a triangular charging handle tucked into the carry handle. Even the rifling choice screams early assumptions. Colt ships the 601 with a 1-in-14 twist, tuned around 55-grain bullets in standard conditions. Then reality forces a later shift toward faster twists as cold air, longer bullets, and military standardization creep into the picture. That twist rate change looks boring on paper, yet stability decides whether bullets fly straight or start doing circus tricks. For scale, the package sits in the classic early pattern, .223 class moving toward 5.56 by 45, thinking a 20-inch barrel, about 39 inches overall, and a 20-round detachable magazine. Early Air Force security use and high-visibility demos make the footprint bigger than the quantity. Why it works is light handling that invites fast, repeatable hits. Why it matters is momentum. One backyard demo turns into an entire era. XM16E1. 1964 is the hinge year where the rifle reaches the United States Army as the XM16E1 and the historical trigger hits. Vietnam forces fielding before the support culture catches up. By 1965, it was living in heat and mud at relentless tempo, conditions that magnified mismatches between design assumptions and logistics. The XM16E1's identity is the forward assist entering the picture because the Army wants a way to drive a reluctant bolt into the battery in ugly conditions. That feature is a clue, not a cure. The larger story is system friction. Ammunition changes, maintenance habits, and cleaning gear availability become life or death variables, because a lightweight rifle only stays lightweight when it is allowed to run as intended. This is where the platform learns that a manual of arms is also a supply chain. Powder type, chamber finish, and cleaning kits turn into battlefield variables, because carbon and humidity do not care about brochures. In practical dimensions, it stays in the full-length rifle lane, 5.56 by 45 family, a 20-inch barrel, overall length in the 39-inch class, and a 20-round detachable box magazine as the early baseline. In the field, the XM16E1 is praised for controllability and hit probability, then condemned when reliability falters under bad support conditions. Those arguments do not fade quietly. They harden into requirements. Why it works is a low recoil layout that keeps the rifle fast on target. Why it matters is pressure. Vietnam turns the rifle into a national problem that must be solved in hardware. M16A1. 1967 is where the platform's reputation gets repaired by material changes and standardized support. The historical trigger is the upgrade cycle driven by Vietnam experience and the demand for a rifle that keeps extracting when everything is wet, gritty, and corrosive. The A1 era is the rifle learning how humans actually fight and maintain gear. Chrome plating in the chamber and bore reduces corrosion and friction, which attacks extraction failures at the root. Durability details tighten, and the system starts behaving like it expects dirt and rain as normal operating conditions. The forward assist becomes normal. Training and cleaning equipment become part of the story instead of an afterthought. The numbers are familiar, but the consequences are new. 5.56 by 45 North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a 20-inch barrel, 38.81 inches overall, and detachable magazines in 20-round and 30-round capacity, with 30-round production beginning in late 1967 and spreading over time. The A1 becomes the Vietnam-era image in steel and plastic, and it graduates into a logistics object, spare parts pipelines, standardized magazines, and doctrine that assumes a lightweight rifle as the default. Why it works is consistent cycling paired with a carryable ammo load. Why it matters is trust. The A1 proves the pattern can recover, then dominate. The XM177E2. 1967 is the year compactness becomes a mission requirement rather than a preference, and special operations demand becomes the historical trigger. Helicopters, dense brush, and raids punish overall length. Colt's commando line evolved into the XM177E2 configuration, with an 11.5-inch barrel becoming the recognizable answer. This carbine is a physics compromise made visible. Short barrels cut velocity and raise blast. Then gas timing becomes more sensitive because everything happens faster inside the system. A distinctive moderator helps manage flash and handling in close quarters, and the practical payoff is speed through space. Doorways, jungle gaps, vehicle interiors, and fast exits. The rifle stops feeling like a pole and starts feeling like a tool carried close to the body. In exchange, the carbine gets louder, dirtier, and more sensitive. The exact trio of costs that follow every short barrel idea in this family. To frame the size, keep it simple. 5.56 by 45 family, 11.5-inch barrel, about 29.8 inches collapsed and 33 inches extended, and the detachable magazine ecosystem shared with the broader M16 line. Issue quantities stay limited, but the influence goes wide, because this silhouette becomes the Vietnam-era shorthand for fast-moving carbines. Why it works is handling under stress. Why it matters is inheritance. The modern carbine obsession has an ancestor, and it smells like jungle rot and helicopter fuel. M16A2. 1983 is the historical trigger when the United States Marine Corps adopts the MA16A2 and turns earlier lessons into a formalized update. This is the rifle treated as a long-term service object, built to survive hard training cycles and standardized ammunition. The A2 personality is variable control. Ammunition standardization shifts toward SS-109, known in United States terms as M855, and that drives the twist rate decision because longer projectiles demand stability. Sights become more adjustable and deliberate, matching a Marine culture that prizes repeatable marksmanship and known distances. Burst fire control and small durability tweaks aim to keep training safer and hardware tougher, even when the rifle is passed through thousands of recruits. Round handguards and the case deflector make the rifle friendlier in real drills, and the heavier front profile buys heat tolerance. It stays in the full-length lane. 5.56 by 45 North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a 20-inch barrel, 39.63 inches overall, and 30-round detachable magazines as the modern baseline. Its reach is global through manuals, parts, and allied compatibility. Why it works is repeatability under high training volume. Why it matters is maturity. The A2 cements the Armalite rifle as a stable service rifle template that others can copy and still stay interoperable. M4 carbine. 1994 is the historical trigger when the M4 enters United States service and the carbine becomes the default shape of American infantry firepower. Mechanized troops, urban fighting, and vehicle interiors reward shorter overall length, so the platform compresses while keeping the established magazine and accessory ecosystem. The M4 is modularity turned into doctrine. A collapsible stock fits different bodies and different gear loads. A shorter barrel changes handling more than the manual of arms, so training transfers from the M16 line and logistics stay sane. The carbine becomes a host for optics, lights, and lasers, and that matters because modern fighting is information-driven. The rails become the rifle's second spine. The weapon is expected to carry a sighting solution and a white light as normal equipment, not as a special unit exception. Scale it in one breath. 5.56 by 45 North Atlantic Treaty Organization, 14.5-inch barrel, 29.75 inches collapsed, and 33 inches extended, fed by 30-round North Atlantic Treaty Organization Standardization Agreement magazines. Its real footprint is continuous use, which exposes weaknesses fast and forces fixes fast. Why it works is compact handling with familiar controls. Why it matters is platform gravity. Once the M4 becomes the reference, every future carbine argument gets measured against it. Mark 18, Mode 0. Around 2000, Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane built the close-quarters battle receiver because even the M4's 14.5-inch length still feels long on ships and inside rooms, and that need is the historical trigger. SEAL teams and maritime boarding profiles reward compactness, so the Mark 18 Mode 0 appears with a 10.3-inch barrel and a problem that is pure engineering. Cutting the barrel that short shrinks the time window where gas pressure can do useful work. Dwell time drops, cycling becomes marginal, and Crane responds by opening the gas port to 0.070 inch compared to the M4's 0.063 inch. Higher port pressure and a larger hole accelerate gas port erosion, shorten barrel life, and can make the rifle feel sharper in recoil. Maintenance discipline matters more here than with longer guns, because the margin is thinner and the parts get punished harder. For the tape measure crowd, 5.56 by 45 North Atlantic Treaty Organization, 10.3-inch barrel, also seen as 262 millimeters, 679.4 millimeters collapsed, and 762 millimeters extended, feeding from the same detachable magazines. Its use is concentrated in special operations because confined environments reward compactness, even when velocity drops and blast rises. Why it works is tuned cycling paired with human geometry. Why it matters is the blueprint for modern close-quarters battle carbines, short, loud, and engineered on purpose. HK-416. 2004 is the historical trigger when the HK-416 enters service and the Armalite rifle world gains a new argument. Keep the familiar controls and magazine pattern, then move hot gas and fouling away from the bolt carrier group with a short-stroke piston. The timing matters. Post-2001 operational tempo punishes rifles with high round counts, harsh environments, and heavy suppressor use. A piston system changes where heat and carbon concentrate, and it changes how the gun behaves during extended strings. It fits a manufacturing mindset aimed at endurance, tough barrels, consistent assembly, and boring reliability when users are exhausted. Less heat dumped into the action, less fouling in the parts that must lock and unlock smoothly, and more tolerance for the real world where maintenance windows are never as generous as the manual suggests. 5.56 by 45 North Atlantic Treaty Organization, often in a 14.5-inch carbine trim, fed by 30-round North Atlantic Treaty Organization Standardization Agreement magazines, with overall length living in the M4-sized class, depending on stock position and configuration. Adoption grows because the manual of arms stays familiar and logistics stay interoperable. Why it works is familiar handling with piston endurance. Why it matters is ecosystem proof. The Armalite rifle interface survives a major internal change and keeps the world interoperable. M27 Infantry Automatic Rifle. August 2011 is the historical trigger when the United States Marine Corps selects the M27 Infantry Automatic Rifle, a piston-driven rifle based on the HK-416, and pushes a squad-level doctrine shift. The target is the automatic rifleman role, historically tied to belt-fed volume, and the Marine argument pivots toward precision. The corpse points to roughly 2-minute of angle accuracy from the M27 compared with about 12-minute of angle from the M249, and the claim is simple. A hit that forces heads down can matter more than a long belt sprayed near them. The M27 feeds from 30-round magazines, so it cannot sustain the same continuous fire profile as a belt-fed. That trade buys mobility, precision, and a rifle interface the squad can share. The concept changes how squads think because every magazine becomes a decision about hits. Heat management is part of the story. The short-stroke piston keeps hot gas and carbon out of the bolt carrier group, so the gun runs cooler and cleaner than the direct gas baseline. Broad suppressor issue reduces noise and helps squad leaders communicate by voice in contact. 5.56 by 45 North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a 16.5-inch barrel, 36.9 to 38.5 inches overall with the adjustable stock, and 30-round detachable magazines. Why it works is precision at squad pace. Why it matters is doctrine. The automatic rifle label gets rewritten in Armalite rifle-shaped hardware. Drop the first Armalite rifle you ever shot and the one you trust most today. If you want part 2, say which decade to cover next and why. Like, subscribe, and check the next video for the weirdest design trade-off in this family tree.